Hello everyone, this is Bhargav and today I am going to start with a new series called C Programming for Engineers. Basically, C Programming is a course which is like required in the first year of engineering in most of the universities of India. And while designing this course, I have kept in mind that this will be suitable both for absolute beginners, someone who does not have an experience in programming, and to people who have some sort of programming experience in any other programming language. The first part, that is getting started with C. In this part, I have intended to give you a quick introduction to the C programming language. In this part, I will not go into the deeper aspects of the language, but it will serve as a quick start so that you can get started with this language immediately. So let's see what are the contents that we are going to study in this particular part. We'll start with some terms which are required before we dive into the details of the C programming language. Then we will see an introduction to this language, that is the C programming language, then followed by basic structure of a C program. Then we'll study what is IDE, and then finally we'll be designing a C program in our IDE. So let's get started with the first content, that is certain terms. So before we get into any programming language, we need to know certain basic terms. Since this is intended both for absolute beginners and for a little experienced programmers, let's dive into details but from absolute beginning. So the first term that we need to know is that of a program. Now, what is program? It is a sequence of instructions given to a computer in a programming language. So if we need to interact with the computer, we need to give it some instructions. Now the instructions that we give to a computer, so for giving instructions to a computer, we need the help of a language. For example, if I want to interact with you, I need to choose a language like English, Hindi, Bengali, Assamese, anything. Similarly, if I want to interact with the computer, I need the help of a programming language. In a programming language, I need to give certain instructions. So whatever sequence of instructions we give to a computer, for that it is known as a program. Okay, and the instructions are given with the help of a programming language. Now let's see what is the meaning of a programming language. So what it is a computer language used by programmers to communicate with a computer. Just as I mentioned a few minutes back, that in order to communicate among humans, we use any language, like it may be English, it may be Hindi or any other language. Similarly, in order to communicate with a computer, we require something known as programming language. So programming language is used by programmers. Now let's see what is the meaning of programmers. Programmer is also known as a developer. The people who does programming with the help of computer language are called programmers. So if you do programming by choosing any programming language, then you will be termed as a programmer or a developer. Okay, now let's see what is programming. The process of writing specific instructions in a computer language is called programming. So the process of doing the act of a programmer with the help of any programming language is known as programming. So if you are writing a program in a programming language, that means what act you are performing? You are performing the act of programming. So these are the basic terms which should be known to any programmer before going into the details of any programming language. And the programming language that we are going to use here is the programming language called C. Now let's have a brief introduction to this programming language, which is the C programming language. So what is C? C is a procedural programming language developed by Dennis Ritchie in the year 1972. So it is a procedural programming language. Procedural programming language means it is such a programming language with the help of which we can give some instructions to a computer in the form of procedures. Procedures means a group of instructions. This language was developed by Dennis Ritchie in the year 1972. Let's see what are the features of this programming language. The first feature is that it can handle low-level programming. Low-level programming means such kind of programming which is closer to the machine language. Now, what is machine language? I think you know that computer does not understand the English language with which we communicate with the computer. It understands only two digits, that are 0 and 1. 0 and 1, with the help of only 0 and 1, all the instructions of a computer are formed. And this language is known as the machine language. And C is such a programming language which can handle low-level programming. That means it is closer to the computer, or it is closer to the machine language. C is a core language, as many other programming languages are based on C. C is the foundation for many other programming languages like Java, Ruby, C++, etc. Because from the core functionalities of C programming language itself, many other programming languages are developed. C is such a language that is well suited for structured programming. Structured programming means such an approach of programming where a bigger program is divided into certain smaller parts known as modules. So here, instead of programming the entire big program at a time, we can divide the big problem into certain smaller parts called modules. And this approach is known as structured programming. And this form of programming can be handled with the help of C programming language. Next up is, it is a portable language. Portable language means if we write a program in C, it can be in my machine, it can be transferred to a different computer without any changes. Therefore, it is a portable language. Portable means such a language which can be run on several machines without changing the code. Next up is, it is used for system programming. System programming means it is used for developing basically the operating systems. Many operating systems are designed in C. Like the Unix operating system, it is entirely written in the C programming language. Next feature is that compilers, libraries and interpreters of other languages are often written in C. Compilers, interpreters, assemblers, these are some translators which help in translating from one form of language to the machine language. And these translators are also most often written in the C programming language. Now let us see the basic structure of a C program. What is the meaning of basic structure? Basic structure means the skeleton of a C programming or a C program. So in a C program, there are certain parts, and those parts which are mandatory to be given comes in the basic structure of a particular programming language. So let's see the basic structure of a C program. At first, we need to give something known as the header files. Header files are also known by the name of preprocessor directives. Preprocessor directives means something which is to be done before the actual processing begins. Alright. So what is a header file? A header file is a file beginning with hash with extension .h, which contains several C functions that can be used directly by the programmer. So in simple words, if I want to explain you header files, I can say that there are some files which are required to run C programs smoothly. Now those files are within the header files. So before beginning the actual programming, we need to give the header files. It begins with hash and it ends with the extension .h. Of course, there is a deeper explanation for this, but since this is the very first part of our journey on C programming, we shall not complicate things now and go on to further details later on. For example, the most basic header file that is required in C programming is studio.h. As I have already mentioned, it starts with hash, as you can see here, hash include, and it ends with the extension .h. After the header files, the next part that we need to write is the main function. If I enclose something within the first bracket or the parenthesis, it can be said as a function. So after header files, we need to write the main function. Main function is the part from which the program starts running. So the execution of the program will begin at the main function only. After the main function, we need to enclose whatever statements or whatever instructions we need to give to the computer. In order to communicate with the computer, we need to enclose it within braces. So these braces are used to group all the related statements of the main function. So within the main function, whatever instructions you need to give in order to communicate with the computer should be given within these braces only. So within the braces, whatever we write, it is known as the program body. So the program body contains a set of instructions to perform the given task. Alright. So that's about the basic structure of a C program. Now, where do I do C programming? As we know that there are various softwares, which software is required for C programming? So for understanding this, let us go into our next topic, that is IDE. So for doing C program, we require something known as IDE, whose full form is Integrated Development Environment. So what is it? An IDE is a software application that provides comprehensive facilities to computer programmers for programming. So for doing programming, we require some softwares. Those softwares are known as IDE. For doing program in a programming language, there are various IDEs. We need to choose which IDE is better for us or which IDE we are comfortable with. But the code is same for all the IDEs mostly. So some examples of IDEs where C programming can be done are as follows. The first is VS Code, Visual Studio Code, very popular IDE for C programming. Next we have C Lion. Next we have C++ Builder and many more. Out of these three IDEs for C programming, we will be using the IDE VS Code or the Visual Studio Code. So now we are ready to write our first C program. While writing our first C program, we will be following the basic structure which we saw a few minutes back. So let's write our first C program. So as I said that the IDE that I am going to choose is Visual Studio Code. This is how Visual Studio Code looks like. So what we need to do after it opens, we need to click on New File, then select the text file here. After that, you need to select a language. The language which we are learning is C. So let's select the C language here, and now we are ready to write our first C program. So the first C program that I'm going to write is the Hello World program. Hello World is a standard program which is written while programmers learn programming in any language. The first program that anyone writes in any programming language is the Hello World program. That means if I want to explain it simply, I want to display a message in the output screen and the message would be Hello World. So let's start with it. So while seeing the basic structure of C program, what was the first thing? The first thing was header files. So let's give the very basic header files which is required for all programs. It is #include studio.h. This header file is basically required for input and output facilities. So the things that I am writing with the help of keyboard, it is known as input. The message from input should go to the memory and it should get processed over there. Now this input facility is given by this particular header file. and after that the result is displayed in the monitor. That facility is also provided by this particular header file called studio.h. After that we need to write a function known as the main function. So we need to give here int main. Why did I write int here? That's because after the program is complete, an integer value will be returned. You will understand it better as we go to the further parts of this particular session. Alright, so after writing it, what I need to do, see this blocks has automatically come here. After that, for displaying something on the output screen, we need to give a function called printf. The coding for printf, it is already written within the header file studio.h. Now within header files there are various functions which are already defined. I can directly use that function. So for displaying or printing anything on the output screen, we require a function known as printf function. So function means I need to give these braces, and if you want to display something on the monitor exactly as it is, then you need to put it within double quotes. Now what is the intention of this first program? The intention of this first program is to display a message called hello world. So let me write here hello world, and each statement in C program is terminated by a semicolon. So after we are done, we will terminate it with a semicolon. After that, while writing the main function, before the main function I used a word called int. That means after the program is completed, I need to return a integer value to this main function. So for returning any value to a function, we use a word known as return. And if the program, so to show that the program terminated successfully, we give the value as 0. Don't worry if you haven't understood it properly. In the upcoming sessions, it will be more clear as we go deeper and deeper into this language. Okay, so the complete program is done. So if I take you back to the basic structure of a C program again, so you can see that we have the header files. The header files that we used is studio.h. After that we have the main program, and then within these braces we wrote the program body. Program body is that part of a programming language which will get executed as we run the program. Now the first program is completed. After a program is completed, you will go to file and then click on save as. After that, you can give any file name of your choice. Let's say I'll give the file name as hello hi. You can give any name as per your wish. And after that, for saving a file in any programming language, you need to give the extension of that programming language. The file extension for C programming language is .c. Therefore, in order to save any file in this programming language, after the file name is written, you simply need to give .c here. After that, as you are done, click on save. And as you can see here, hello hi.c. This is the file name of this particular program. Now, how to see the output? For seeing the output, what I need to do, there are various options. I am showing you one of the options. Now you can right click, and here you will see an option called run code. Just click on run code, and here see, you can see the output. The output is hello world. Now the output is cluttered. Let's adjust it a little bit. We have a character called /n. /n stands for new line. Whenever you give /n, it will not print anything in the output screen, but what it will do, it will take the cursor to the next line. So after hello world, I have given /n. That means after printing hello world, the cursor would come to the next line. Now see, the cursor is in that line itself. Okay, therefore the other instructions are coming from this line itself. Now see, I have made some modification. I gave /n here. So if I right click and run code. Now you can see that the next line of this particular terminal or the output screen has come in the next line. Now if you want further space here, I can give more /n. If you want further space, you can give more /n. So I've given 3/n, so the space should be more here. If you want space before the output or before the printing begins, you can give /n here. More the number of /n, more space it will leave. And after you are done, right click and click on run code. So this is the output of this particular program. Alright, so this is the first C program that we have learned. Now let's go into the next part of this particular session. So now we have learned how to write our first C program. Let's revise a little bit. This was our program. Of course, here I have not given those escape sequence /n to keep it simple. So the first line of the C program, it is the header file. Here the header file is studio.h. Next, we have the main function. It is the starting point of a C program. After that, within the brackets, whatever we have written is known as the program body. Now let's see different parts of this particular programs and let's try to understand the different parts again. Okay, one more thing. If you do not have VS Code or if you find difficulty in installing any C IDE, what you can do, you can program C in cloud. Cloud means it is another term for the internet. So we have a website called onlinegdb.com. In that website, if you go to that website, you simply need a internet connection. You can write C programs directly without doing any installation. So if I go there, after going there, you need to select the language. Let's say the language is C here, and there if I write the same code which I have written over here, if I write the same code here, let's see whether it runs or not. I can write simply write hash include studio.h, and now I'm programming in the cloud. How you can say? Because I'm opening it in a web browser, onlinegdb.com. After that, I'll just write int main and then start and end the parenthesis. For printing something, I'll be writing here printf. The first program is hello world, so I simply give hello world here. Each statement is terminated by a semicolon, so I gave a semicolon here, and at the end I should give return 0 because the function is expecting that I'll return an integer value. It is used to check the correctness of a particular function. Now here, without saving also we can run the program here. So if I run it, you can see that the output is displayed. So if you do not want to install any IDE of your choice, you can simply go to onlinegdb.com and you can perform your C programming. Okay, this is how you can program C programs on the cloud. Okay, so hash includes studio.h. Let's learn a little bit more about studio.h. So here the hash include statement tells the compiler to include the required header files for programming. So whatever header files are required for programming, you should include it within the hash include statement. Now here, whatever header file is included, its name is studio.h, stdio.h. It is the header file required for standard input/output in a C program. So input or output is what? It is the most basic thing required in a program. So who will give you the input output facilities? Studio.h will give you the input output facilities. So before going to the actual programming, you need to include this header file called studio.h. So after a header file is included, all functions within it can be used directly. stdio.h will give you the input output facilities. Therefore, all the functions within stdio.h or studio.h can be used only after you use it in the include statement. Now, input output include functions for reading data from keyboard and printing results on the screen. In the program that I have discussed a few minutes back, what was done? Input output facilities was there, and for having those facilities we required stdio.h. So let's say I do not give this header file stdio.h. Let me erase it, and then let me run this program. Now as I run this program, as you can see, something is written here. If you can read this, what is written here? Error is written here. So if the other parts of the program are correct but the header file is missing, then your program will not run, because this printf function is within that header file. So you can see that declaration for printf, one error generated. Okay, now if I include it back and run the code, now this code will run successfully. Alright, therefore include statement is definitely required with the header files. Now the next part of the program is int main. So as I have already said several times that main is the starting point of the program, and int is the return value of the main. Return value means after the program is over, an integer value will be returned to the function. So after all the statements in the program have been written, the last statement will return an integer value to the operating system. That means I am talking about return 0 here. The last statement return 0 signifies that the program has executed successfully. Next is printf. The printf is used in C in order to display the output on the monitor. So if you want to display something on the monitor, you need to use the function called printf. Like if you remember hello world, if I want to display hello world, if you simply write hello world within those braces, it will not be displayed, rather it will show an error. So if you want to display something on the monitor, you need to use a function called printf. It is one of the standard output functions and is defined within stdio.h. So the coding for printf is written within stdio.h. Therefore, in order to use printf, you need to include stdio.h. And the message that has to be displayed on the screen is enclosed within double quotes and is put within parentheses. So hello world, what we have done, we have enclosed it within double quotes. If we do not enclose whatever is to be printed within double quotes, then it will not be displayed in the output screen. And at the end, what we did, we terminated the C statement with the help of a semicolon. So as you can see here, every statement in C is terminated by a semicolon. Now, one more thing that we need to know, this is the first C program that we have written. Now, whatever programs we write with the help of any programming language, not just C, it is known as the source code. Okay, so the programs that we are writing in any programming language with the help of an IDE, which is VS Code in our case, it is called as the source code. But it is written in English and in high level language. But a computer does not understand high level language. It understands only one language known as machine language. So this source code is to be converted into machine language. Now, after being converted into machine language, it is known by a name known as object code. Now, who will help in translating source code to object code? Compiler will help in translating source code into object code. So, as I have already said in the first slide, what is compiler? It is a translator which translates a source code written in high level language to machine language at one go. So what it will do? It will translate all the instructions which you write in a programming language into the machine language in one go. and after translation whatever file is generated, it is known as the object code. So that was an introduction to the C programming language. I hope this session was beneficial for you. I'll see you again in the next class. Thank you very much.